Hey everyone, welcome back to the Building Code. I'm Carly Ward. And even though this is my fifth time on the Building Code, this is actually my first time in the driver's seat hosting. So super excited to be here today. And joining me is someone I've had the pleasure of presenting and working with at previous Buildertrend University panels. We've teamed up on profitability discussions in the past. So I'm excited to bring some of that same knowledge and insight to the podcast today. Introducing our Director of Product Design, specializing in our profitability features, we've got Sarah Biben.
Hi there, Sarah Biben. Excited to be here today. I work with the product and design and engineering teams that are focused on better financial management out of Buildertrend. We really spend our time learning from builders. Where are their gaps? Where can your process be a lot more efficient? And how can we make the experience a lot more usable for you and your teams in the day-to-day?
Amazing. We also have another guest joining us here shortly. He is a frequent flyer of the Building Code, so not his first time rodeo. Excited to bring him out. Today, we're going to be focusing on something that likely all of our builders are feeling in some way or another right now, which is margin pressure. So we're going to be talking about protecting profits, tightening workflows, and recognizing how those small gaps in process can create big margin problems over time. And this is relevant regardless of your role within the business. So excited to bring out Tyler Farrell from Killowen Construction. And Tyler will actually be at the International Builder Show in Orlando coming up. And at our 20th anniversary party that we're having to celebrate all of our years of business. And Sarah will actually be there as well. She's going to be on a panel, so we're excited to hear from them a little bit more than just today's podcast episode. But for all of our listeners, if you're going to be at IBS, we really encourage you to come to our 20th anniversary party, which will be on Tuesday, February 17th from 6:30 to 10:30 p.m. At the Canvas event venue. We will have all the details for the party in our show notes, so be sure to go look at those and be sure to register with the link that will be provided. Without further ado, let's bring out Tyler. All right, we are bringing Tyler Farrell back into the Building Code. Tyler, how are we doing today?
I am doing excellent. How are you?
It's doing so good. Well, I know this is not your first time on the show, but in the past, you've always been with Charlie. So selfishly, when I figured out that you would be our guest for mine and Sarah's first time hosting, we were pretty excited.
Is it your first time?
Fifth time on the show, but first time hosting. So
hosting. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then Sarah's
I'm excited to be part of it.
I'm joining. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Well, cool. Well, I know most of our followers and listeners are very familiar with you, but just kind of providing a little bit of a background. Sarah and I have both followed your journey for quite a while. Luxury custom home builder across the Wasatch and Summit counties in Utah. You've built an incredible reputation within the building community based on craftsmanship, communication, scaling with intention, and even featured on Netflix's Dream Home Makeover. So you have a truly impressive background, but for those listeners that might not be as familiar with Killowen and yourself as we are, do us a favor and give us just a little snapshot of the company and catch us up with what's been going on with Killowen lately.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you. That was a nice introduction. We do custom homes, high-end luxury in Utah, in the Park City area. That being said, I mean, I don't love being necessarily pigeonholed as a luxury builder because I will build whatever people want, really, whatever they want, as long as they have the budget for it, right? Just so happens most people come to us because of the homes they've seen and it's a luxury market, all that. But I don't know. I have a hard time putting us in a box, but yes, we are on the high end. As far as what the company is today versus when I started this company, and I do think I'm on year like 12, I think, of starting this company. I actually should. Yeah. Okay.
It's all about your milestones. Yeah.
But anyhow, like I've been with Buildertrend since the start, and I think we've been a partner, for the past few years, but I always did use Buildertrend, and the evolution of my company, I'm definitely not doing things perfectly. There's so many SOPs we're trying to dial in, and we're just trying to get better and better and better. And I have like the absolute best team. It started with just me, and I was an entrepreneur, like the mindset of do everything yourself. It took me so many years to take the SOPs out of my head and put it into a system. And we're still not quite there. And my personalities, my team actually has to pull it out of me. And like, I'm a way better delegator than I used to be. But I think people listening to this who are looking at scaling and are looking at creating some standardization in their company can learn from how we've done it. And maybe some of the things we did wrong and where we are today. So hopefully I can touch on some of that and it will be helpful for those listening to say where we came from, where we are, and I think where we're going.
Amazing. And just out of curiosity, is there anything specific that you're excited about for the company or personally heading into this year before we start diving into all the profit protecting stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for IBS. I always enjoy going. This will be my first time going to Orlando. And usually I bring my team, but it seems like at home, this is the first year we haven't had like a baby. So my wife is coming with me. So I'm really excited for her to meet everybody, meet all of you, just have a few days to have a date with my wife is going to be awesome. So I'm really looking forward to IBS, not only for like all the great people I get to see from across the country, but spend some time with her. And she can be with work Tyler for a little bit. But as far as our company, it seems like every year, this is not a boring job. For all the things it is not boring. For this upcoming year, we have just every year, it seems like our projects get more and more impressive. Like as far as the design we're getting, what we're asked to create, some of the challenges. This industry is amazing in that way where like you really should not be bored doing custom homes. And so we're in some new developments this year. We're working with some different design teams we haven't worked with before. And it's challenging, but exciting. And we're still continuing to grow and scale, but I think it's at a sustainable pace. And that's a whole other conversation. I think at IBS, actually in the Central Hall, that's what we are speaking on is scaling.
Yeah, really excited to talk about IBS, so might as well just get into it now. You know, you mentioned it's at Orlando this year, and I'm just curious. I usually hear from people, it's like they're either pro Vegas or pro Orlando. And just in your experience, like, do you think that there's going to be any differences with it being at Orlando this year versus Vegas?
I've never been to Orlando. I'm very pro Vegas because it's very close to me. So selfishly, yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I would expect it's a little bit of a different crowd because probably more East Coast people who have a hard time getting out to Vegas. So, yeah, I really don't have a lot of expectations other than it'll be fun.
Yeah. And how many years have you been going now at this point?
I think I've gone for the last like 6 or 7. I think so. Yeah.
Any favorite memories or stories from past shows?
Well, I think last year was pretty special. I was on one of your panels and it wasn't just me. I was almost like moderating it. And we had 3 more of my team on the panel. That was really cool to see them take pride in the company and kind of boast about us without me like doing the sales, but how good we are. Like it was great to hear from my team and what they're excited about. And they could share that with other people as opposed to it just being me. But that was a really fun, that was a good experience.
I always feel like it's a great experience when you get to like pull in everybody else instead of just like, okay, this is how great it was and come back later. Like they really get to live it, breathe it, you know, and I feel like that, you know, breathes life into your company. So that's awesome to hear.
Proud moment.
Yeah, it was cool. It was cool to see them, you know, be really excited about it and just talk about the great things that are in our company. I think when you hear it from the owner, like, yeah, he's selling his company. Of course he feels that way, but like, to hear my people talk about the processes we've created as a team and how we do it as a team, I thought that was great.
Well, and IBS is like, it's such an environment of just like pouring into other builders or vice versa. And so coming off of that experience, like I'm sure it's just like super invigorating from the team and going into projects and, you know, new developments and things of that nature.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, IBS, I'm going to try and like slow down a little bit this time. I felt like last time I was going from like event to event to event. And again, I had a lot of my team there. And this time just it's me and my wife. I think we're going to take our time. We're going to, tour the halls a little bit more than we had in the past, and it'll be great. I'm looking forward to it.
So I'm curious for anyone who hasn't been, whether they're conference adverse or maybe they're just not sure what to expect from IBS. What does attending it feel like, and what are your specifically? Is there any session or anybody there that you're most excited about?
Yeah, I think it's probably different for everybody. For me, it's a little bit invigorating. Like it pumps me up. The end of the year is so hard when you own a business, and especially like when you try to move people in for Christmas, and it is just, there's a lot. There's employee reviews, there's bonuses, there's all this stuff. And then you get kind of burnt out in that winter, and usually you're dealing with a tough winter as well. We do not have a tough winter, which is kind of a bummer. It's like no snow out here. But I think for me, it really pumps me up. I get excited. It helps me take that energy through the rest of the year. Now I have people on my team that I haven't had the time, but they'll go to the classes and they'll actually come back with like, hey, I learned this at IBS. We should implement this. So like one thing when we get into some of the finance stuff, some of the processes I think probably began from going to IBS, some of our checklists, stuff like that. Like we've taken little pieces that we've incorporated into our company. So there's a lot to learn. Networking is awesome. I've met really, really great people from all across the country that typically only see on the internet. And it's great to see them in person. That's fun. A lot of my friends who I went to school with in construction management, they're out there. It's fun to connect.
Well, and you already teed us up, but you're actually going to be on 2 Buildertrend panels this year. One is actually with our CEO, Dan Houghton, and that session is Scaling with Intention, Signs You're Ready, and Steps to Get There. Why is this such an important conversation for builders right now?
I think, I'm in my own little bubble, my own little region, right? I don't build farther than an hour from where I live. But at least for me, I believe there is more good work than there is good builders, which can be very enticing to go and grab it all, right? And say, yes, 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 yes. Especially when you've come from the world where you have to say yes to every project or you'll starve, right? So I started saying yes to every bathroom, yes to every closet, yes to every basement remodel, all that stuff. And then when you get to a level where like, oh, we are doing some real serious jobs, I think it is easy to overcommit. And I've seen some of my peers locally overcommit, this is 6-7 years ago, and their reputation suffered for it. And there's a lot of reasons you can go that occurred, but I just think, again, there's so much good work. You have to scale very carefully and very thoughtfully.
Well, and I know so much of your brand is built on intentionality and honesty, and in an industry where it can be enticing or easy to cut corners, like how do you keep yourself and your team like to that integrity?
Well, I think a great thing we have is we all kind of see the bigger picture. There's some excitement. There's still a lot of excitement here of like where we're going. I don't want to be the biggest, baddest builder in Utah, but I want to be in the conversation like, hey, those guys know what they're doing. And that's not volume to me. I like how many we're doing, and we're going to staff accordingly to the opportunities we have. We're kind of hovering in that 40 million a year range, depending on starts and everything. We'll probably get up to 50. And I think I don't want to go much farther than that, but ultimately, I like that the team sees how important it is to do it properly. And we've been doing this long enough that like, you see what happens when you don't do it properly. Because my warranty ultimately is if I did it wrong, we'll come back and fix it forever. Like if your house leaks because we did it wrong, I don't care what the warranty or the 1-year workmanship or whatever it is. If we did it wrong, we'll fix it. And my team takes that very seriously because we've had to honor that, right? And they see like, oh, that's coming straight out of our pocket. And that home was 4 years ago, which makes, I think, of the homes we build really excellent because we all know if we don't do it right the first time, we're coming back to fix it later and we won't get paid for it. So I do like that the team has that kind of long-term mindset and the growth mindset to be part of something special that's not all the way where it's going to be, but getting close and having a good reputation and Yeah, again, I keep talking about the team focus, but we build way better homes now than when it was just me. We absolutely do. I am a general contractor. Generally, like that's a great word for me because I generally know a lot about most things, but I don't know everything. And I lean on my team. We have a really excellent team. Our subcontractor list is just our trade partners are amazing. We have like the best of the best. And we've kind of got rid of all the jokers that are charging too much. They charge fair and they just want to do a good job and go home to their families, pay the bills. And I feel that is the vibe of the company. And I think a lot of contractors have heard that and do like working with us because of that. They might not like me personally, that's whatever. But if they say we build crap homes or we're not fair with people, like I have a big issue with that. That's our whole thing.
Well, what I'm hearing from everything that you just said is like it really starts at the top, starts with you, and it trickles all the way down, to your field employees, your office managers, your trades. So, kind of leaning back into the session that you're or the panel that you're going to be in at IBS, without giving too much away with that session. Who's the builder or who's the person that needs to be in that room to benefit from what you're going to be talking about?
I think a person who's like me, but like 6-7 years ago, you're just starting to hire. You have a lot of potential work, but you're not sure how you're going to staff it. I think the best time to have gotten someone like me, if you were a client for your budget, was probably like 6 or 7 years ago because I didn't know how to charge. I didn't know the real cost of an employee. I know when I first started, I was trying to get into these amazing communities, high-end communities. And I was like, experience doesn't matter. It matters how hard I work. Yeah, experience doesn't matter, unfortunately. And you can't get it unless, you got to start somewhere. I totally understand that. But the people in the room should definitely learn from my mistakes. And I'm very open with those where I messed up, where I wish I would have done it differently. Doesn't mean I would have changed things. I am who I am because of my experiences, but I'm really big on learning from someone else's mistakes. And a lot of our checklists, I've hired people who have worked for other companies, all that. Like we have a wealth, we have decades worth of construction information in our company. And we try and pull out all those mistakes people have made and put them into our checklists. Yeah, and I don't care how good a builder you are, you'll forget something unless it's written down.
Well, definitely worth putting on your calendars if you're going to be at IBS. Just a reminder, this session is Scaling with Intention, Signs You're Ready, and Steps to Get There. And that is going to be hosted Tuesday, February 17th from 2:15 to 3:15. Now, Sarah, you're going to be moderating another big conversation at the Buildertrend booth, Profitability in Practice, Inside the Workflows that Protect Your Bottom Line. I know profit talk isn't always the hottest, most exciting topic, but why should builders be excited about this one?
Yeah. And, I kind of think it is, though. When you talk to builders and you hear about like the kind of freedom profitability really unlocks for them, that gets me really excited. Freedom to slow down, be more particular about the jobs you take on, really why it matters for their lives and the types of business and culture they want to lead. That is a pretty hot topic, I think. So I think what makes this session really meaningful in that way is you can leave this session with those bits and pieces. I like how Tyler mentioned that, going to IBS and taking pieces away to start implementing in your process at home. You'll leave here with smaller habits and practices you can start implementing right away next week when you get back, as well as some like bigger things to be thinking about and scaling into your process for like more sustained improvements on your profit protection over time.
And I know traditionally Buildertrend is kind of all over the place at IBS, but we've been a little bit more intentional about our stage presence this year. We have 2 sessions. Why was profitability such a big priority for us?
Yeah. It's just where a lot of builders are feeling a lot of pressure right now. Revenue is looking okay, but the increased costs, the kind of chaotic cost environment and the tightening margins, it can be hard to keep up with and hard to see really where are you losing money and why, especially early enough in a job that you can have some room to adjust and take corrective action. So this conversation really matters because it's not, your profit isn't protected by like one perfect estimate or one right way of, setting it up. But it's really protected when you have that full system in place across your estimating, job costing, purchasing, the communication, who's on point to do what, really all reinforcing each other to give you that real-time insight your business needs to make like day-to-day informed decisions.
Well, this is setting us up for the meat and potatoes of our conversation, protecting your margins. So before we lean into that, just a reminder that session at IBS will be on Wednesday, February 18th at 1 p.m. On the Buildertrend booth stage. So definitely add that to your calendars as well. But again, margin pressure, I feel like everyone's feeling it in some way or another right now. But, margin loss, a lot of the times I feel like builders think, it's going to result from one significant area, but really it's, a combination of tiny gaps, slow leaks, or, maybe handoffs that don't quite connect. So Tyler, you've scaled your business super fast. And in your experience, where are you typically seeing those big margin links show up?
I think, gosh, there's a lot of answers to that, I think. But again, it came from one person into a company that, has many, many people, a lot of hands on it. I think one of the very best things I did was hire my controller, who took the finances not completely out of my hand, but took the day-to-day out of my hands. We have reports and all that stuff. I actually am unsure if we would still be in business if I had not hired Kenny. But just because I wanted to do everything and keep everything. So the small leaks every day, like we're saying, if you're not constantly trying to improve, record where your warranty costs are, record missed estimates. One of my favorite professors, Weidman, when I was in college, he would always repeat over and over, what gets recorded gets done. And I have that in every aspect of my life. I am also kind of a crazy person. We do these personality tests to help us place the right team members in the right spot so you can work together the best. And I feel for my company because I am a crazy person. Like I'm very in the 99th percentile in a lot of different, and I need to get back to the middle, right? But I do really believe in checklists and writing things down from the moment I wake up, and I love it. I love checklists. Like for example,
a bigger dopamine hit than crossing something off a list?
Oh, it's amazing.
I don't think so.
Sometimes I'll cheat and write like brush your teeth.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyhow, just this morning, had a bad experience. Wake up, I think it's like 4:30 in the morning. I check my email. I try to not check my email till later in the morning so it doesn't ruin my morning if there's something terrible waiting for me there. Anyway, didn't do it today. Woke up, saw an email. A house we built 6-7 years ago it said the neighbors are building, and they got a survey and they said our driveway encroached on their property. And my first thought was like, well, that doesn't sound like us. Like, I don't think so. This got to be a wrong survey, all this stuff. Anyway, so I drove out there really early because I couldn't keep my mind off. I went and looked, and I looked at the property line. I was like, I don't think so. I'm looking at surveys, looking at all this stuff. But anyway, the main point of the story isn't if we did it right or wrong. We're still investigating it, but we have, and I think we got this from Buildertrend, or not Buildertrend, but IBS. I believe they call it the monorail, it was a class they went to that talks about all these things you need to check off along the way, right? Very important things. So we just went around with that, and I mentioned it on podcasts before, we have 70 plus checklists of all the things we're supposed to do. So I messaged my team this morning. I said, good morning. If you are pouring a driveway remotely close to a property line, make sure you get a survey. That bottom was like, Derek, make sure that's on our monorail. So that's a checklist before every phase. I don't care how good a builder you've been and how long you've been with us, you check that off. And it's not something you check off after, because that defeats the whole purpose of it. Because again, you can be a great builder, but a great builder can forget to put sleeves under the driveway. There's just so much going on. So if we had that 7 years ago, we probably wouldn't have encroached on this, right? And it's going to be what it is. I'm probably building on the other lot too. I'll figure it out. And if we did it incorrectly, we'll fix it. But you're just, in this industry, you're always trying to solve for the next future problem. Mm-hmm. You wake up every day to problems. That should not be a surprise. you're a professional problem solver in construction, but that doesn't mean you can't do your utmost to eliminate as many as possible before they become a problem. I know, I absolutely 100% believe that I've already put out 100 fires every day because they didn't happen because of our systems, but we're still going to hit 4 or 5. It's just, and that's okay. But if you have too many of those, you are going to sink. And if you're not tracking your costs, if you don't have these standard building practices for checking off things, again, if you're a younger builder and you're getting into these big homes, one mistake could really set your company back years. And fortunately, we haven't had anything like a setback like that, but we have had problems. So that's where our monorail comes in. We missed this. Oh, let's check this. Oh, that was a close one. Let's make sure we check this every time. So that's been on my mind today, because there might be a financial impact on this if we did that wrong. But again, our team, I just sent it to them like, hey, make sure this is on the list. Anyone have one coming up? Just make sure, double check. And we do survey them a lot of the time, but putting it on that monorail kind of makes it gospel. Like, you have to check it.
No, I love what you said about the SOPs being, you're solving for future problems that you might incur, or the million of issues that you've incurred previously, but you haven't made an SOP for it to solve for, so it doesn't happen. So I love to hear that. Sarah, I'm curious. We hear builders say all the time, like, we're slammed, but the numbers don't show it. Why are standardized workflows such a pivotal part of this industry, especially in a market that's, tends to shift?
Yeah. I mean, in the shifting market, your competitive labor and your material costs are subject to change. Like, you don't have as much room to make mistakes and recover effectively. So you really have to have that system in place and those standardized financial workflows for that predictability. So you're putting out fires without even knowing it, so you can better see them when they do happen, so you have some time to recover. The builders who are weathering that volatility the best are really not guessing less, but they're just tracking better. They're keeping those lists. They're keeping things up to date and capturing the details in the day-to-day. Those disconnected systems, you're missing so much in visibility. And even this, I hear this all the time from builders. We are looking good on this cost code, but a few team members accidentally miscoded it and now we can't see it. But we actually have a team meeting to all orient around that job costing budget together, and now we can better see it and better have the satisfaction of okay, we're done spending here, and orient together as a team. So yes, ideally they're catching those problems before they happen, but reducing the amount of time until it becomes a bigger problem than it really needed to be.
Well, and you mentioned, the team aspect. I feel like we've been talking, a lot about it being, a team problem rather than leadership or accounting or an owner. Something interesting that I heard at a recent conference was one of our builders that actually implemented doing incentives to his change orders. So he implemented doing a 10% bonus on any change orders to his project managers. He's now implementing that same percentage to his office staff that has admin work associated with that. And in 2025, they made $360,000 in profit on change orders. 26,000, or excuse me, it was 260,000. 26,000 of that went to incentives. And so, just a ton of profit and an easy way to make this a whole team initiative rather than just trying to, poke at them constantly.
Motivated individuals all working together. Exactly.
I'm curious, Tyler, do you guys have anything like that in your company?
No, it's interesting. I think with us being a cost plus builder, we don't have your kind of more traditional type change work because of extra work. But I'm always looking for a good bonus program. And I've talked to so many builders, and it is all over the place. And the consensus is there's not a good one.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you have one and you're going to IBS, come grab me. Let's talk about it. I have a lot of thoughts because I love incentivizing people, but it is hard to quantify that for a good project manager. And I have a whole spiel I talked about that. But something that I just thought of, again, for the people who are, I think, trying to scale and become a larger company, something as simple as purchase orders. Because if you're used to just having under $1 million in the bank as far as billing, and then you start getting over the 1, 2, all that, there's, notwithstanding all this, hey, do your change with all this stuff, there might be invoices you're not billing for, or you paid someone twice. So like, that seems really simple, but when you have so much money going through the company, every once in a while it does happen, and our vendors are awesome, and they'll be like, hey, I got this $40,000 twice. Like, what do you want me to do? That is, one, so cool that they brought that up. And two, like, you need to have checks and balances, make sure that doesn't happen. And it's something as simple as a purchase order. Our requirement with us is, hey, to invoice us, you have to have a PO, and you get that PO from your project manager. We cannot pay this bill without a PO. And PO means our project manager has seen it, they approve it, and they've assigned it to a job, right? So every invoice we pay has that PO. Now, occasionally there could be a double up because of the way maybe the bank is working or whatever, but those are rare. But I remember one of my employees who worked for me kept bringing up POs when I first started. I'm like, what are you talking about? We don't need POs. Just pay the bills. We're fine. But like, I finally wrapped my head around it. And that was something I was resistant to because I just didn't want more admin work. And looking back, it's such a good idea. And we do it now. And again, that's one of just kind of, there's so much you can talk about with Buildertrend, how you can implement it in your books and how you're doing your pay applications, your draw systems. But there's a couple just really basic ones everyone should be doing, and that's one.
Well, I feel like that, implementing POs, like you said, like that is a huge change in your business, going to something that is process oriented versus, like the on the fly negotiation or like the gut feel situation. So it's great to hear that. I'm curious, Sarah, from a homeowner's experience and their perspective, where does clarity around selections, change orders, invoicing make a huge difference in protecting margins?
Yeah. I would certainly love to hear Tyler's perspective here from the open book side as well. But really just regardless of contract type, like clarity in what your client is signing off on, and can they see that picture alongside with you the whole way? So, what impact is this selection having on your overall contract price? Are you still in? What are you signing off on? Like how are your costs fluctuating along the way, and why? And what are you really agreeing to here when you're signing off with us? So really making sure our Buildertrend system has that clarity, not only for your team, but that you can present to your client in a polished and professional way so that they're confident in working with you as a builder and they know where their price is sitting and how much they have left to pay you. That goes a long way with like reducing their anxiety, and like, they're agreeing to a lot with you, and that transparency goes a long way for them. So setting those clear expectations up front and like carrying that story through with them as things evolve along the project.
And even 6 or 7 years later when they might be dealing with a driveway issue, right?
Yeah, they can still go back and see. Yep.
6 or 7. Let me add to that. So the monthly budget, we have we're cost plus. Yeah. So this is really, I guess it would work for a fixed fee situation as well, but we insist on having a budget meeting with our clients every month. I think it's really easy for a builder to tell you what you owe. That's just adding up invoices, right? But projecting throughout the whole project, when you're just a few months in, you haven't ordered everything. You don't have all the POs. But projecting what those final costs are going to be is a skill. And I think it's something that's very important. You mentioned being anxious. I know some builders locally that never even really have a budget. And I have no idea how their clients let them get away with that. And that would drive me nuts as the builder, not knowing, be like, oh, are we going to have a really hard conversation in 2 months? Because every budget meeting, it's money. That's their hard-earned money. And if we screwed up, that's money. Like, it's important and it is personal. So every month we have this update and like, hey, end of last month, we're 3.1. Dang it, we had to add something, now we're 3.12. But then the next meeting, it might be going down because we saved up lumber or something like that. And it is our job. There's $220,000 decisions on our house. That doesn't seem a lot for a multi-million-dollar home, but they really add up. And every month we want to give them as much authority with their budget, like their hand on the wheel to make that next $20,000 decision. And if we haven't forecasted, if we haven't signed some of those purchase orders, all of that, then we don't really know at the end of the project, we're going to crap. We we're $400K over budget. I'm sorry, you have funds for that? And then that's horrible. It's awful. I had that happen on one job about 5 or 6 years ago, and he was hard to work for. I can make a lot of excuses. He was hard to pin down. He was living out of the country. I was also terrified of him. He was mean to me. And then I did not do a good job. Like, I got changes approved. Like, hey, this staircase is going to be an additional $50,000. Are we okay with that? What I didn't do a good job is giving him the total aggregate every month. Be like, hey, this is now your total number. Because we got in the end, and I had all these, what I thought, changes approved. But I guess I didn't do a great job explaining, be like, yeah, we're going to be over budget by this much. And he lost his mind. And I ended up eating a lot of it. And said, I didn't want to go to court. Do I think it was fair? Absolutely not. But like, at the same time, I should have done a better job. I really should have. And I don't think we've missed a budget meeting since. And again, just the documentation, the legwork you need to do to know these numbers, because they change all the time.
Oh, yeah.
You have to always be learning, always talking to your trades about what's going up, what tariffs are we dealing with? Oh, great, we have another appliance, annual increase. Are they going to honor their quota? We got to tell our homeowners they got to pay another 4%. It's a lot of work, and I think our finance team, I've delegated a lot of that, but our finance team does a really good job with that. It's not perfect. This is such a hard industry that way, with all the things that change, and these homes, can take 2 to 3 years to build. It's things you just can't predict. But we've done an audit on the last 9 or 10 jobs, I think, and the bones of the house where we have the most control, Killowen has the most control, we're in 1.5%. I'm really proud of that. Where we get out of control is with selections, and some of that can be our fault too, because we didn't give them a high enough allowance, right? So not throwing it all on the homeowner, but the things that we can control the best we can, some of the concrete, the framing, the bones of the home are really, really close. It's just those finishes, and luxury is so subjective. And we work with so many different designers that think, oh, this house, we need $40,000 for lighting. Oh no, we need $340,000. What are you talking about? So that's where pre-con and just bidding as you're going throughout these monthly budget reviews, documenting those is so critical for your sanity and your bottom line.
Well, it's clear that our builders have a ton to learn from you, and especially if you're going to IBS, I think this teed up, enough interest to have them book your 2 panels on their calendar. I want to be conscious of your time, so really, really appreciate you chatting with Sarah and I today, and just for being so open and vulnerable and willing to share some of the hard mistakes that you've learned along the way. That's what makes this industry so amazing, is just the people that are passionate like you, that are willing to pour into other builders. So appreciate you being on, and excited to have you on the 2 panels at IBS, and look forward to seeing you in Orlando.
Yeah, be great. It's gonna be awesome.
Perfect. Well, we'll see you soon, and can't wait to have you on again.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys.
We'll see you. Bye.
Yeah.
Well, we definitely have a lot to look forward to at IBS this year. Just as a reminder, we are having our 20th anniversary party on February 17th, which is a Tuesday, from 6:30 to 10:30 p.m. at the Canvas event venue. Just as a reminder, there will be details about the party within the show details, along with a link where you can go to register ahead of time. Also, we are giving away a free Buildertrend subscription for a whole year to anyone that is live attending. So you'll be entered into a raffle, and we'll be giving away 1 free subscription for a year. So definitely don't miss out on that. Additionally, definitely put on your calendars the 2 panel sessions that we had mentioned earlier, one featuring Sarah, as well as Tyler Farrell from Killowen Construction. We look forward to seeing you all there, and to being able to connect and hear about how things are going within your business, as well as how we can help optimize any of your standard operating procedures or workflows. So thank you again, Sarah, for being on for your first time. I hope it's not your last time on the show. But thank you, everybody, for listening, and look forward to chatting with you all again next time.